The Mole, Traitor Aboard. By Chris Etchers. Category: Mario and the Show The Mole. Genre: Adventure/Mystery. Words: 167,676. Rating: K+. Status: Complete. Summary: The Mole, 9 contestants work their way through physical and mental challenges to reach the grand total of 500,000 coins. But aboard the 8 average players is an imposter, a traitor, a saboteur. Can you determine which one of them is the mole? Chapter 1: The Jumping Start. Who is the mole? Side note: this is the first Mario/mole related FAQ established on this website. To all those reading, be sure to not look at the end chapters, unless you want this entire story spoiled. Same with the reviews. Clicking on that number above and reading the reviews will reveal too much. Thanks a million for reading. Feel free to leave a review. My second season is also out, The Mole, Saboteur's Island. Be warned though, the identity of the mole of this first story gets spoiled in my second season. So I would suggest reading this season first. However, if you really want to go ahead and read my second season first, feel free. If you have never heard of the mole before, it goes like this. Players in the mole must work together to complete various physical and mental challenges to add cash into the team pot, that only the winner at the end would win. One of them, however, is the mole. A double agent hired by the producers to sabotage the efforts of the group. Not only will they attempt to wreck the team pot for the other players, but the mole must avoid drawing suspicion towards him or her. At the end of each episode, the players take a quiz on their knowledge of the mole, with questions asking what the mole did during one of the challenges, or what their occupation is or what their eye color is, and even questions asking what the mole had eaten for breakfast. The player who scores the lowest each round is executed, and is eliminated from the game immediately. When it's down to the final 3, there is a winner, a final victim, and the mole. Well, enjoy the story and happy mole hunting! Episode 1. It has begun. 10 players. 9 are up to the challenge and playing by their own innocent strategies. Their goal is to win, to succeed in every challenge, and to be the one to be victorious at the very end. But one of them is the imposter. The cheat. The fraud. The saboteur. One of them is the mole. A helicopter, hovering over the cliff edge for minutes, finally lands onto the ground as the passenger steps out. The passenger is bedazzled from her exciting way to her destination, but is bedazzled with confusion at what's to come. Birdo. Surname: Bowtie. Birthday: June 2nd. Occupation: gardener/florist. Another helicopter a distance away lands as well, and 2 more passengers had exited their way to the rocky ground. Blooper. Surname: Inky. Birthday: November 4th. Occupation: sea scavenger. Daisy. Surname: Floral. Birthday: May 12th. Occupation: hair salon owner. A third helicopter lands not long after the one previous. the passenger steps his way off the vehicle and looks around. Duplice. Surname, Shiftel. Birthday, October 14th. Occupation, actor. The next two come from a fourth helicopter that makes its way momentarily after the third. They both look around, puzzled. Lackey 2. Surname, Clouda. Birthday, February 25th. Occupation, air traffic controller. Luigi. Surname, Mario. Birthday, January 18th. Occupation, plumber. A person walks off from another helicopter that has landed, stepping her way carefully onto the dusty terrain. Toadette. Surname, Retoad. Birthday, June 26th. Occupation, emergency nurse. Simultaneously, another helicopter has made its way to the ground. The passenger has a look of uncertainty displayed on her face. Peach. Surname, Toadstool. Birthday, February 3rd. Occupation, tennis trainer. The last helicopter to arrive arrives, and a person with a confident look on his face steps down. Rock Hawk. Surname, Hawk. Birthday, May 29th. Occupation, champion wrestler. Hey, so what did I miss? Rock Hawk asked loudly over the leaving helicopter. The other 8 are confused, not to mention that they couldn't hear him over the intense sound of the propeller. Welcome! Came the voice from behind them. A man was standing right behind them, who resembles a familiar person to Blooper. You're McBallyhoo? Blooper claimed. Yes, I am. Who's that? Duplice questioned. Yeah, I remember seeing him somewhere before, Birdo remembered. I honestly don't, Peach said, examining him closer. McBallyhoo frowned. I think only a few of us knows him, explained Luigi. But I think you're our host for this show, right McBallyhoo? Yes, I am, he said. And now, welcome all of you. The mole, enemy aboard. Light-hearted cheers followed after, as they clapped happily. The 10 of you are here to work together in order to complete physical and mental tasks. For each time you are able to succeed, money is awarded to your team pot. But keep in mind that only the winner at the end will be victorious over the large sum of cash. The maximum total that can be created, if each and every activity is completed successfully, is 500. 500 coins. Toadette repeated. I guess that's okay. Hey, that doesn't seem like a lot. Lackey 2 pointed out. We signed up for this when they estimated the winning prize to reach. Oops, small mistake, corrected McBallyhoo. I think I missed a few zeros when I read that. It's 500,000 coins that can be earned. Now that's a lot different. Lackey 2 exclaimed. The others look at each other in excitement. 500,000 coins? But just who would be the one to take it all? But there is something important I forgot to tell you all, McBallyhoo added. That you accidentally made a typo. Daisy joked. Something more troubling than that, he said.
One of you is not really who they seem to be. I guess your first instincts were that all 9 of you were just a couple of curious contestants, am I correct? And what do you mean by that?
Birdo wondered out loud.
One of you is a traitor, a lie, the pretender of the group. You have been set up by us as the mole to inhibit the success of the others. The mole's role in this game is to sabotage all your challenges.
The 9 standing on the side of the cliff base look at one another in surprise. They couldn't imagine how one of them could actually be an enemy of all the others.
Of course, your eyes have to be keen and observant to win the game. Otherwise, you'll have to pay. And we would want to know who the mole is, why?
Asked Peach.
At the end of each episode, you will be given a quiz on the identity of the mole. There will be execution eliminations along the way, and your chances to win will over if you are the lowest scorer. The one who keeps up the mole's identity would surely be the one to succeed all the way to the end. Any questions?
The players shook their heads.
Ready to start?
He asked them.
Yeah,
shouted the others.
'Cause I have a challenge for you,
the host announced, as he stepped towards the edge of the cliff. They followed the host to look over the edge of the cliff and looked on in amazement. Below them was a platform with various crew members, and leading down to the bottom 50 feet below was nothing except gravity itself. It was a cliff jump into the glistening springs that were located near the camping station they would be staying at. They started to laugh in excitement and anxiety, realizing they were not as high as they had thought they had been when they arrived. But 50 feet was still a long distance.
This is the cliff springs. All of you must jump down into the water below, and of course, survive.
The contestants laughed.
There is a twist, however. You must all complete the 50-foot jump for this challenge to be successful. And one more thing, none of you are allowed to add or take anything off from your bodies after the next 15 seconds. Starting now.
The contestants frantically started to dig into their pockets, trying to remove all their valuables or items that would succumb to the water. Many took off their sweaters.
Everyone, cell phones,
Luigi told them.
Electronics, whatever you have. How about my necklace?
Daisy asked quickly.
I can't take out my iPod.
Rockhawk exclaimed, desperately trying to get the device out of his back pocket.
Wait. Time up,
announced Macaliboo.
Do not add or remove anything in your possessions from now on. No. Rockhawk, time is up. However, you can situate your iPod anywhere on your body. This challenge is worth an amount of 15,000 coins.
Some of their faces were relieved.
If any of you remove or add any further articles to or from your individual bodies before jumping, the challenge will be lost. Damn it!
Rockhawk yelled. Many looked at him with uneasiness when they saw the iPod sticking out halfway from his back pocket. Blooper couldn't help but laugh.
Oh shoot, my watch,
noticed Blooper, looking at the front of his many arms.
You can try your best to protect the items you didn't manage to remove,
reminded the host.
And remember, all of you must complete the jump to win the challenge. Anybody up first? I'll go,
Lucky 2 said immediately. The others watched in anticipation as Lucky 2 stepped along with the host to the lower platform. There were no cables or anything to support the contestants if they chose to jump down below, but the only things that eased their minds was when a person proceeded to put a life vest around Lucky 2.
Go Lucky 2!
Called out Daisy, to the platform 10 feet below.
He seemed a bit confident when he called out to go first,
Dupliss noticed.
Oh, and that platform below kinda makes the jump only 40 feet. That's not bad, I guess. Gosh, do we all have to do this?
Luigi wondered.
I'm terrified of heights.
In quick time, Lakitu was all set to jump. To the surprise of the others, his cloud was removed, to reveal that his feet weren't all that special after all. The others watched in hopes as Lakitu stepped to the edge of the platform. He jumped off. When they saw the splash appear in the water 50 feet below, the 8 of them above cheered and clapped at their first step to winning the challenge. But only 1/9 of it had been completed so far. All you could do was take it all in and face the fact that you were jumping a great distance. It wasn't the first time I had been at high heights, after all.
Well done for Lakitu,
the host said, seeing the thumbs up signal from one of the crew members below.
Next up at random selection, Daisy. No,
she said, as the others chuckled with glee. But with a smile proceeded to walk down onto the platform, to where the host was standing to get her ready.
So, afraid of heights?
The host asked her.
Nah, I'm the crazy type of girl,
Daisy told him.
I can do this. Not sure about Toadette though. Oh. She seems kind of upset about this challenge,
said Daisy.
But I'll wish her well when I reach the bottom. I'm ready for this.
She put on her life vest. The others 10 feet above on the cliff watched Daisy as hopefully as they had watched Lakitu. However, Peach was talking to a shivering Toadette, who wasn't the type for extreme activities.
I'm even scared of jumping off from a diving board at a swimming pool,
Toadette explained to her.
I doubt anything can make me feel better now. This will help all of us,
Peach told her in a positive attitude.
15,000 coins is a great start.
They heard a yell from below as Daisy jumped off the platform, to the water. The group of 7 cheered. Gosh, that jump was more than anything I had ever experienced in my life. But I loved the thrill. But Toadette wasn't the only hesitant one. Rock Hawk was being instructed by Dupliss on the best way to keep his iPod water-free along the fall. He sighed in exhaustion.
Place it into your rather tight pants,
Dupliss suggested as his last resort.
Water will surely not be able to reach it. Here,
said Luigi, offering Rock Hawk his cap.
Wrap this around your iPod. No water can get past this fabric. And you're sure about that?
Asked Rock Hawk with doubt.
It's specially designed to keep out sewage water,
Luigi explained. Dupliss and Rock Hawk looked at him awkwardly, but Rock Hawk had already taken the cap. The host called out the name Blooper, and Blooper reluctantly stepped down to the platform.
Well,
said the host.
It looks like you had no trouble removing any items of particular from your body. You don't have any clothes. I still forgot to remove my Rolex GMT Master 2,
he pointed out. The host looked and shook his head at his misfortune.
But 15,000 coins can buy me 10 extra of these,
he told him, and jumped backwards with enthusiasm. The crowd whistled and cheered for the 3rd time.
Man, Blooper sacrificed his expensive watch,
said Rock Hawk.
Surely, he can't be the mole. It could have been an act of innocence,
Birdo reminded him. The other 5 looked at her, and looked at each other. Once again they came to the realization that one among them was a traitor, hired to hinder their next moves. Which person it was, they were not sure. Every single one of them seemed as innocent as another. I did it for the group. I mean, I didn't want them to suspect me at all as being the mole. But now my brothers are going to kill me if I can't pay this watch back. Birdo's eyes widened, as she went down to the platform. The others watched as they hoped for her success. Would she be willing to jump?
Any fears of any kind?
The host asked her.
Doesn't include heights at all,
she told him.
More of mental fear, like becoming handicapped or something along those lines.
Not that that's likely, the host reassured. Birdo put on her life vest, and hesitated only a second before she jumped her way into the water below. The lessened crowd clapped happily. I lied to Micaliboo about not fearing heights. I've been scared of them since I was young, and jumping of the platform sent that strange feeling into my stomach. You know, that feeling you get on roller coasters. When Luigi's name was called, he groaned unhappily. Rock Hawk shoved him lightly towards the walkway to the platform, and he made his way to the host nervously.
Jumping will win for the prize, right?
Luigi asked, as a crew member put on a life vest.
Only if the other four decide to jump as well,
the host reminded him.
You can jump off this cliff, or you can quit this challenge. Go Luigi!
Called out Peach. The others shouted supportive words to him, and Luigi held his breath as he stepped to the edge. He jumped forwards, and let out a shriek on the way down. The ones at the edge of the spring water who had already completed their job cheered as Luigi hit the water. I admit, I'm a chicken. I'm scared of the dark, ghosts, and even spoiled milk. I really don't know what made me force myself to jump, but I guess it was for the team. And to meet Daisy again as quick as possible.
Toadette!
The host called. Peach let go off her shoulders as she looked anxiously at the small contestant. Would she be the one to forfeit the challenge?
Well,
said the host, as Toadette stepped onto the platform.
It is your choice whether to jump or not. I really don't want to,
Toadette said in a quiet voice, as she peered over the edge. She saw the others, looking up in hope at her. But the sight of the 50 feet to the water had overcome her.
I just can't,
Toadette said, looking away from the edge.
And it's your choice,
said the host. Toadette looked over the edge again and saw her waiting teammates. They had made it, so why shouldn't she?
You can do it, Toadette!
Called out Lucky 2, trying to block out the brightness of the sun as he looked up.
Come on! She's been there for like 3 minutes,
Daisy said in worry.
Please jump!
And she did. While she plummeted, she shrieked an ear-piercing scream along the way. The 8 contestants, above and below, wooed and cheered as she hit the water, and then saw the stunned look on her face as she popped above the surface. Never before had I ever been so frightened when I was falling. I would have never done the jump if it wasn't for Peach's earlier support. The team was really counting on me, and I guess I showed it. With ease, Rock Hawk went next afterwards. Now that more than half of the players had made it to the bottom, the remaining 3 were confident. Rock Hawk jumped with the cap-wrapped iPod clutched in his hands. It was perfect when he reached the other 6, as his iPod was not affected by the water at all. I'm glad that hat of Luigi's actually worked. I would have beat him to pulp if it hadn't. And that jump. Hoof. Peach screamed even louder than Toadette as she jumped down to the water. That was 8 at the bottom, and 1 left remaining. My scream had actually hurt my own ears when I screamed on my way down. And my shoes and socks were soaked. I felt so uncomfortable as I came out of the water. At the first step of Dupless jump off from the platform, the crowd cheered louder than before. They were victorious over their first challenge presented to them. 15,000 coins into their total, and the mole had scored 0. Or was it really 0 that the mole had scored? The host had made his way down in a helicopter to meet the excited group of wet people. Provided with towels, the first few jumpers were already completely dried off from the spring. As he approached them with a small smile, the crowd quieted down.
Well, let's take a roll call,
McAliboo suggested.
Lucky 2. Here. Daisy. Here too. Blooper. Birdo. Luigi. Hey Race. Toadette, Rockhawk, Dupless, and Peach. All here.
Dupless claimed.
Well, that's 9 people, the same number we had started with from all the way up there.
The host said in realization.
That would result in the winnings of 15,000 C into your team pot total, and congrats to you all.
The contestants gave each other high fives, and felt their first sense of success.
Well, there was still one thing that had prevented you from success in this challenge,
McAliboo said suddenly. The group quieted down in record time and looked at him in confusion.
Unfortunately, there were rules that I had stated clearly for you guys to follow out,
said the host,
and the one that I am referring to was the rule that, quote, if any of you remove or add any further articles to or from your individual bodies before jumping, the challenge will be lost.
He looked at the still puzzled group.
The item in Rockhawk's hand was not in his possession after the 15 seconds of freedom,
the host clarified. Eyes turned to the left hand of Rockhawk, as he looked back in surprise.
And Luigi seems to be missing one of his articles of clothing as well,
the host said, as eyes turned directly at Luigi.
In the act of Luigi lending his cap over to Rockhawk after I had stated the rule, this challenge has now been declared lost.
The looks of disbelief were aroused.
I will meet you all at dinner, in that camp building over there,
the host stated. As he went to jog ahead, the disappointed players trudged towards their new home in their semi-damped apparel.
Don't look at me,
Rockhawk said suddenly.
I was offered without asking for anything.
The looks averted to the player in green, who was looking away sheepishly.
Didn't you listen to the host when he said you couldn't take anything off?
Dupless questioned.
I did, but I didn't mean to,
Luigi explained.
I seriously, really didn't mean to. And I had to jump for nothing,
Peach couldn't help adding.
Although I did come over a fraction of my fears. Good job Luigi,
said Blooper sarcastically.
I think we finally have an amount of $0 in our pot.
Blooper looked down in gloom at the watch still around his wrist, which was full of water and permanently destroyed.
Oh, come on,
said Daisy, obviously trying her best to defend Luigi.
I would have made the same mistake too. Let's stop all this blaming,
said Lucky 2, trying to change the subject.
I'm starving.
The group proceeded to walk to the cabin. Birdo, the Cliff Springs challenge had really shaken me up. I didn't know what this game had in store for us, but I think it'll be all crazy from now on. Although I'm disappointed I jumped for no money in rewards. Dupless, I have my obvious suspicion on Luigi, whether he had broken the rules inadvertently or whether he had given his hat to Rock Hawk at the most appropriate time during the game, at his own will. I'm taking the latter. Rock Hawk, I wasn't aware of the rule that disallowed me from taking an item. I mean, the host did say it, but still. Whatever. Luigi, I never thought it was against the rules to lend my cap to Rock Hawk. It was still with us to the bottom, and I hadn't considered it as taken off from me. But I promise, it was not purposely. The inside of the small hotel cabin was relaxing, as they all hung out in the lobby. Most of their chats were about how they thought the cliff jump was, and who they suspected the mole to be. But it was all light-hearted and playful, as the sun started to set behind the cliffs.
Before dinner,
a voice suddenly called out from the front door, and they turned around to see that the person who had spoken was no other than the host. He was rolling in a big cart full of similar-looking bags, each having a green fingerprint icon displayed on them. As he brought the entire cart in, he started to throw them off one by one onto the carpet ground roughly, much to the alarm and amusement of the players. 9 bags.
Before you can enjoy your dinner,
he finally said,
you must first retrieve your luggage. Fortunately, they all fit perfectly into these new bags of yours our crew members had created for you guys. Unfortunately, they had forgotten to write any names on them, so that's your job. I need the 2 people who have the best memory, in 15 seconds. Starting now.
Let me go, said Lucky 2.
I have a great memory. Okay,
said Daisy.
Lucky 2, and who else? Anyone? Not me,
said Peach.
Not Luigi either. Blooper? Birdo? Pick someone better,
Blooper argued.
5 seconds. Toadette,
Peach picked.
Okay, Peach, whatever you say,
Toadette said. The host looked at his watch again, and then looked at the group.
Lucky 2 and Toadette,
he reaffirmed. They both nodded.
Well, the 2 of you will be on much pressure now, cause I have a challenge for you.
And that is the first part of episode 1. Who do you think the mole could be? Is there really enough evidence so far? The next execution comes next. P.S. Watch out for the hidden clues that point to the identity of the mole. End of chapter. Chapter 2, Opening Execution. Episode 1, Part 2.
Well, the 2 of you will be on much pressure now, cause I have a challenge for you. And you can earn up to 20,000 coins.
Smiles appeared, but Lucky 2 and Toadette's smiles were just plain worried.
These 2 people you have picked will be responsible for labeling these luggage bags,
Macalibou explained.
Thus, if they happen to get yours wrong, you will be in a disaster. But thus can be prevented by the great memory of these 2, and if all bags are labeled correctly, you will earn 20,000 coins. One wrong is a subtracted 5,000, until you will receive nothing if you get 4 or more incorrect.
The players didn't seem to appeal to the challenge at all with the idea of living along someone else's luggage, while another person would be rummaging around with your personal belongings. Who knows what the other person might do with your property?
And if we get a wrong bag, how long do we have to keep with it?
Peach asked.
For 3 nights, including tonight, and then you are free to compromise and trade back,
he told them.
But 2 days can be an awful lot of trouble. Ready to start now? I guess. Okay, you have 1 minute to describe your luggage to these 2 sorters,
said McBallyhoo.
Go. We should go as orderly as we could,
Lakitu suggested.
How about half talk to me, and half talk to Toadette? I have a blue shirt, blue pants. There should be a book. Ah,
Toadette said in a claustrophobic voice.
1 at a time.
As 4 people talked to Lakitu, 4 had told their belonging details to Toadette. To Lakitu. Luigi overalls, extra green cap. Blooper some shoes, headbands. Daisy lots of pairs of jeans. Birdo colorful shirts. Duplis a party hat, a large white sheet. To Toadette. Birdo colorful shirts. Peach, a case of jewelry, and a tennis racket. Rock Hawk cannot remember anything but a black t-shirt.
Time's up!
Yelled the host.
Everyone except Toadette and Lakitu, follow me now. To the dinner table, for some Portobello delight. Please don't mess up,
whispered Duplis to Lakitu, as the 7 others walked slowly off to the other room. 20,000 coins were at stake, and everyone's goal was to sustain it all. Several minutes later, the host appeared again to the 2 others, who were standing in front of the luggage bags patiently and repeating the details each person had told them around in their minds.
Are you all set to go?
He asked them. They nodded.
You have 2.5 minutes, starting now.
They both immediately unzipped one of the bags open. Toadette hurriedly saw the vast amount of items in the luggage, and was automatically confused. Lakitu's bag contained jeans and t-shirts.
This has to be Daisy's,
he confirmed. Pasted on each identical bag was a large post-it note, and Lakitu wrote Daisy in large letters, and then zipped it closed.
Whose bag is this?
Toadette said.
That's mine, right Lakitu?
Lakitu told her. She did so, and went over to another bag.
2 minutes. Tennis racket, jewelry,
Toadette said, taking one look at the items in her second bag.
Peach. And whose bag is this?
Lakitu asked. T-shirts and socks, and deodorant.
I have almost no idea,
Toadette replied.
This next bag has all feminine items, a sweater, jeans, and some yellow shirts, and a mirror. Daisy's. Daisy's bag is here,
Lakitu told her.
So it must be Birdo's.
She wrote down the name Birdo, and went to search another luggage bag.
Okay, blue pants, and a flashlight,
Lakitu said, searching the next baggage.
Luigi, obviously. A cap, a jacket, another jacket, white sheet.
Toadette searched the bag even more.
This is either Bloopers or Duplis. Right Duplis,
Lakitu told her.
He has a white sheet.
Toadette did so, as Lakitu opened the second to last bag.
This person likes to read,
noticed Lakitu.
Great Expectations, de Yoshi Code. Haha, that's mine,
said Toadette, and as Lakitu went to write her name, Toadette grabbed the last bag and opened it.
This last one has a towel, shampoo, sandals, and like 2 shirts,
she said to him.
I'm stuck on whose this is. 30 seconds remaining,
said the host.
Who's left?
Lakitu asked her.
We have almost everyone except Rock Hawk,
Toadette said suddenly.
He's the only one left.
With that, she wrote his name as quickly as she could on the large post-it note.
Wait, there's still one bag with me left,
Lucky 2 pointed out, looking at the open bag full of t-shirts and deodorant.
There's still someone we're missing. Then that must be Bloopers,
Toadette concluded. She quickly went over to the bag and wrote down Blooper.
You sure we have everything correct?
Toadette said.
We better. I hope we do,
Lucky 2 said in agreement. But then his eyes caught the open bag with the name Birdo displayed on it. Was that a bracelet with a flower design on it? He knew whose that belonged to, and his eyes grew wide with alarm.
That's not Birdo's, that's Daisy's,
he exclaimed.
Quick!
Toadette looked at him in confusion.
Give me the post-it,
Lucky 2 commanded.
Hurry!
Toadette crawled over to bag with Birdo's name and removed the large sticky paper attached to it, then handed it over to Lucky 2. The time was ticking as he pasted it firmly onto the other bag. Then he grabbed off Daisy's name from the bag and attempted to pass it over to Toadette, but it was too late.
Time's up! Do not touch anything!
The post-it in Lucky 2's hand fell to the ground with the word Daisy displayed on it. He and Toadette were panicked.
Aw crap!
Lucky 2 groaned.
Just crap!
The other 7 had just started eating when the other 2 contestants entered the dinner room. Their expressions were ambiguous, but the others were delighted to see that they were all back together.
Well,
said McBallyhoo,
your 2 teammates have finished their job, and their results will be seen after dinner.
The 9 of them enjoyed their dinner of roasted oyster stuffed portobello, but none of them could take their minds off from what Lucky 2 and Toadette had done. How did they do with the challenge? After their discussions and rather unique meals, they were brought outside back to the lobby to see an assortment of the identical bags, with names posted onto them. The only thing they saw that was awkward was the name Daisy, which was stuck to the carpet flooring.
What the heck?
Daisy couldn't help saying.
If all bags have been correctly given to their individual owners,
said the host,
then you will be awarded 20,000 coins. Let us begin with this one.
He pointed over to a bag with the name Peach on it. Peach went over and zipped it open.
Yep, that's my stuff,
she said. The bags went down in a line. Next up was Birdo, who went over to the bag with her name on it hopefully and opened it.
My belongings are here,
she said happily. Luigi went up to his name, and opened the bag. His flashlight was the first thing he saw.
Yippee, it's a mine!
Toadette went up to her bag, and saw that her possessions were inside. Lucky for Toadette and Lucky 2, they thought, it would have been impossible for them to mistaken their bags for another person's. Dupless went over to the bag with his name. He grinned.
Correct,
he said thankfully. That was 6 people already, and the group felt slightly optimistic. Lucky 2's bag was next, and to no surprise were his belongings inside it. Then Blooper went up to the bag with his name anxiously and opened it.
That's strange,
he said in a confused tone of voice.
I don't remember bringing deodorant. That's because that bag doesn't belong to you,
the host pointed out.
That's a subtraction of 5,000 coins. Dang!
Blooper shouted in disappointment, and as Rock Hawk went up to the bag with his name, all he saw were sandals and towels.
Now I have to live with Blooper's clothes,
argued Rock Hawk.
He doesn't even have clothes that fit me. On the other hand, I don't even think he wears clothes. I'm sorry for your loss of attractiveness,
the host told him.
And for your loss of another 5,000 coins.
The group looked as dissatisfied as ever, and Toadette cringed in regret as she realized her mix-up mistake.
And now, Daisy,
the host finished, looking down at the post-it attached to the ground.
Unfortunately, she doesn't own the carpet floor, and she can't bring that with her as a possession, so you have nothing but what you have right now for the next 3 nights.
Daisy's mouth was agape, as the rest replied in pity.
Lucky 2, Toadette, would you like to explain what had happened?
The host told them.
I saw that Birdo and Daisy's bag were switched,
explained an apologetic Lucky 2.
So we went over to exchange the post-its, but were kinda too late. And you left my post-it name right on the ground.
Daisy said in disbelief.
We tried our best,
Toadette said meekly, but then the host interrupted them before any other talking could occur.
That is a total of 3 misidentified bags of belongings,
the host concluded.
20,000 minus 15,000 is a total of 5,000 coins being added to your team pot.
Team pot. 5000C.
So what had come in play?
The host said.
Was it really a good choice for the team to pick their 2 volunteers? And were the misidentifications of the luggage done by bad chance, or was it the part of the scheme? Lucky 2 could have pretended not to notice the switched belongings of Daisy and Birdo until the last second, to make it look like a bad accident with the misplaced name.
Lucky 2 looked away in humiliation, realizing how bad it had appeared.
Or what happened with Toadette being so confident over the names of Rock Hawk or Dupliss? Was it just her bad luck that it turned out to be the other way around?
Toadette looked at the host hard, seeing that he was picking out the suspicious acts of the players.
Or was it the faults of Rock Hawk or Blooper, for not identifying their items clearly enough? Acts of forgetfulness or sabotage?
Blooper gave the host a look of innocence, but Rock Hawk glared at him.
Come on, enough with the pointing out and stuff,
he said in an annoyed tone. The others laughed nervously.
Well, you all need your rest for tomorrow, but I think I have a surprise for you,
the host announced.
Your first elimination starts at midnight, tonight. What?
Luigi asked in surprise. The others seemed stunned as well.
We will alarm you at 11:30 to meet back in this lobby, and you will all separately take your quizzes on the identity of the mole. Remember, the lowest scorer will be eliminated.
They all nodded slowly, and with that, they went their own ways to their rooms. Daisy, oh, my God. I cried that night as Peach the Comforter relaxed me to my hotel room. I would be having no fresh clothes, makeup, toothbrushes, and all that important stuff for the next 2.5 days. God. Lucky 2, whatever you did, I can certainly tell that it's impossible to put my name on none of the bags inadvertently. And he chose to volunteer so quickly. Blooper, Toadette is my choice for the mole. I mean, she was all that nervous on the cliff falls, and it looked like an entire act. And the best way to sabotage that baggage challenge was to switch the bags and lose 10,000. Why the heck would I carry deodorant? But on the other hand, I'm looking at Luigi as a close second. He made me destroy my watch. Toadette, my mix-up of the bags was partially my fault. Partially. Rock Hawk told me almost nothing about his belongings that he had brought with him. Blooper's bag had a black shirt, and that's the only item Rock Hawk had identified as his. Could you really be so clueless about the items you had packed? Kinda disbelieving. It's just like a Porto Bell, only captains can arrive but can disclaim the ship they had been riding. Luigi, Ay. First execution already, and I better be wise. Although I have almost no idea who the mole might be, I know who isn't. Daisy, I'm assuming isn't. Then I'm going with Blooper and Birdo. Rock Hawk, I might be able to eliminate, then myself. Lucky 2, my suspicion has taken a rather different turn. As I was searching the bags, the one I had mistaken for Daisy's was Birdo's. And as much as I remembered looking, she did not have any colorful shirts like she had described. She told me that her items contained colorful shirts, and all I saw were pink and white, which is not really an assortment of colorful. At remembering that fact, I had written the word Daisy on the bag instead. Birdo was the cause of Daisy's loss of possessions for the next 2 days, and the cause of the loss money, not me. I'm really suspicious. Rock Hawk, I am taking my chances with Luigi or Toadette. I mean, giving me his cap was a great excuse to lose the game. I compliment him for thinking that up. Toadette, well, she's my obvious second choice by how she messed our items up. I mean, we were so clear about my possessions. Come on. Dupless, oh, boy. I am so clueless. To be honest now, I think the mole has not yet shown any signs of foul play yet. I think he or she is playing it fair for the first episode around. Things are really gonna be turning around from now on. Birdo, who the mole is, I am suspecting Peach. Why? 'Cause first of all, she plays the caring kind. And also because of something else I had never told anyone before. It seemed like she was trying her best to discourage Toadette as she was frightened to jump. I was kind of eavesdropping on her and thought I heard something along the lines of,
"If you're too scared, then it's fine. This is just the first game, blah blah blah."
I guess I'll be watching Peach from now on. Peach, I will use my best strategy and pick the most common choices that the mole would most likely perform. I discussed a bit with Daisy, and she thinks that Lucky 2 has a suspicious side of him. I did pick up on Lucky 2's quick volunteering for the 2 challenges. But then again, it could anyone. Dupless has been standing in the shadows lately. But then again, maybe he can't be it. The players walked down the stairs to the lobby, their baggage in their hands. Every person had to prepare their luggage before an execution quiz, because each contestant still obtained the bad possibility of leaving the group. That is, except for one of them. In silence, one by one, McBallyhoo called the contestants into a room where a laptop was positioned on the table. There on the laptop was their test with 10 questions. Is the mole male or female? Did the mole arrive with any other contestants in their helicopter? When is the mole's birthday? Did the mole break the rules in the Cliff Springs challenge? Which order, first, second, third, did the mole jump in the Cliff Springs challenge? Was the mole a sorter or a describer in the baggage challenge? Did the mole obtain his/her possessions? Is the mole a human? Was the mole a stranger to McAliboo? Who is the mole? One by one, they took the test. After another finished, someone else entered the room and entered their score. It was made clear that there would be no talking until the final person had finished taking the quiz. Once they were all finished, they were brought to the center of the lobby. McAliboo was standing beside a large television which had a fingerprint displayed on the screen, and the 9 contestants sat in front of him on the set-up chairs.
Welcome to your first execution,
he announced.
And in fact, it has only been your first day meeting together. Unfortunately, we will now have to find out who the mole's first victim is. I will type in your name one by one, and when I type it in, the screen besides me will either turn green or red. Green, you have succeeded. Red, you are the least who knows about the mole's identity, and thus you will have to leave immediately.
Some of them shuddered at the fact that any one of them could be sent away for good.
Obviously, the mole will stay for every round because he or she would be most accurate in their answers about themselves. Answering questions wrong about you. Isn't that funny? Ha ha ha.
The others looked at him in confusion.
Let us begin,
the host concluded, and then looked over to the person farthest left. It was Birdo.
Birdo,
he said. They watched the calm Birdo as he typed her name in. Birdo. Green. Birdo closed her eyes momentarily at the good news.
Duplis,
the host called. Duplis watched in hope as his name was typed. Doopliss. Green. His face grew wide with happiness as the screen with the fingerprint turned green. Besides him, Daisy. The nervous Daisy watched her name being typed in. Daisy. Green. Daisy's face was relieved, as she looked at Duplis and Birdo.
Luigi,
said the host. Daisy looked at him hopefully, as Luigi eyed the screen wide with fear. Luigi. Green.
Yes.
Luigi whispered. Daisy matched his face of joy.
Toadette,
the host said. As her name was being typed, Toadette shuddered ever so slightly from the dread inside her. Peach held her hand tightly. Toadette. Green. She inhaled deeply and silently in relief, as Peach smiled at her. Peach, the host called out. She stood up on her chair straight, hoping that nothing red would pop up on the screen. Peach. Green. Her face looked surprised, as Toadette and she shared a smile.
3 left,
Duplis whispered to Birdo.
Rock,
the host said, and typed his name in as Rock Hawk looked with nervous eyes. RAWK. Red.
Oh shoot!
Shouted Rock Hawk. Everyone looked at him with stunned faces, as the host stood up from his own chair.
"You are the mole's first victim, and you must leave immediately," he said firmly.
Rock Hawk didn't even get to wave goodbye as he picked up his luggage and left through the front door. All that was left were faces of sadness.
"Gosh, he was really someone who was playing their game,"
said Peach.
"It's unfortunate that he had to be the one to leave first. Now I feel guilty for blaming him for not describing his luggage clear enough,"
Toadette said in guilt.
"I guess he really was trying his best. And he was an awesome person too during the jump,"
Luigi added.
"And now, he's gone. How about his luggage?"
Blooper suddenly realized.
"And he has mine."
The host entered back into the cabin hotel, dusting his hands as he looked back at the remaining 8.
"Well, now there are only 8 of you left. I congratulate the remaining of you for not being the prey during this first execution. Alas, the mole had taken a first victim. The luggage. We have your bag of luggage in our possession,"
the host explained to Blooper.
"But you can only use it after the night of the day after tomorrow." "Now what?"
asked Blackie 2.
"Nighty-night,"
the host said.
"Tomorrow is a big day."
And so concludes episode 1. With Rock Hawk gone, it is only the beginning. Who is the remaining traitor? Be sure to watch out for the hidden clues pointing to the identity of the mole. End of chapter. Chapter 3, Appearing Strategies. Episode 2. Is it an assumption made too soon to guess who the mole was? Rock Hawk was the first person to be eliminated in our first episode. His answers were focused directly on one person, who turned out to be just one of the 8 simple contestants. Alas, somebody had to be the unlucky one to be sent home first. But to follow Rock Hawk would be another, then another. It is never guaranteed which people would make it to the end. That is, except for the mole. Toadette. Surname, Retoad. Birthday, June 26. Occupation, emergency nurse. Duplis. Surname, Shiftle. Birthday, October 14th. Occupation, actor. Blackie 2. Surname, Clouda. Birthday, February 25th. Occupation, air traffic controller. Daisy. Surname, Floral. Birthday, May 12th. Occupation, hair salon owner. Blooper. Surname, Inky. Birthday, November 4th. Occupation, sea scavenger. Luigi. Surname, Mario. Birthday, January 18th. Occupation, plumber. Peach. Surname, Toadstool. Birthday, February 3rd. Occupation, tennis trainer. Birdo. Surname, Bowtie. Birthday, June 2nd. Occupation, gardener/florist. At 6 o'clock, the alarms located in each of the contestants' room went off with an unsettling message. Come down in less than 10 minutes, or money will be lost. Come down in less than 10 minutes, or money will be lost. Come down in less than 10 minutes, or money will be lost. Come down in less than 10 minutes. In less than 10 minutes, lucky to the last person to come downstairs had arrived. The host looked down at his watch, 8 minutes and 50 seconds.
Well, you're all up early and about,
the host told them.
Too excited to sleep.
Half of the contestants still had their eyes halfway closed in exhaustion.
And how are the victims of the baggage game doing?
He asked Blooper.
This is Rock Hawk's zipperless jacket that fits perfectly,
said Blooper, as everyone looked at him.
It has the word Glitzville in gold letters. Still wearing the same clothes from yesterday,
Daisy told the host in disgust.
This is gross. Well, I'm sorry to you too,
the host said,
but right now, we will be leaving to the land of the foreign Nokis, in Noki village. And to make it even more interesting, we will be riding in limousines.
Cool, said Peach.
But right now, I need you to choose one person that is the best at describing things,
the host told them.
10 seconds. Who would that be?
Wondered Birdo.
Daisy,
said Luigi quickly.
You're the one. Yeah,
the others said in agreement.
Time's up. Who is it? I'm the chosen one,
Daisy said. After a few quick words, the 8 of them went outside. 2 white limousines were waiting for them, and the players looked in awe at the shiny vehicles.
I need 4 of you in the front limo and 3 of you in the second one,
the host told them. Taking as short time as necessary, Birdo, Peach, Blooper, and Toadette chose to enter the first limo, while Luigi, Dupliss, and Lakitu chose to ride in the second. Daisy, the chosen volunteer, had to ride in the car with Micaliboo, and the 3 vehicles went off to their next destinations. Little did they know that they were being brought into their third challenge of the game. After a relaxed 20 minutes, the players had thought they were actually going to have the time to enjoy their journey in their air-conditioned spaces. But the 2 limos stopped suddenly in the middle of the road, causing the people within them to lurch forwards in surprise. One limousine was directly in front of the other, with a 10-foot gap between the 2 of them.
What happened?
Asked Peach, after the engines around them had settled down. They couldn't see through their shaded windows, nor did they know what was going on. The limousine behind them containing the other 3 was full of confusion. Luigi banged on the window that separated the driver from the back seats, but nobody was there. All they could assume was that the driver had abandoned them in the middle of nowhere.
Are we at the hotel already?
Lakitu wondered.
Nah, we can't be,
Dupliss said.
It feels way too soon.
The small Volkswagen containing the host and Daisy had stopped as well on the road, and was located just a couple of feet away from the 2 luxury cars. Daisy looked at the host in confusion.
Well, Daisy, I have a challenge for you,
the host said. Daisy's eyes widened as the host took out a laptop, with a live video recording on it. It showed the other 4 in their non-moving vehicle.
This is a 2-way video camera,
the host explained.
You can see their moves, and once I switch on their TV, they can see your actions. Unfortunately, they can't hear you at all. And what am I supposed to do?
asked a bewildered Daisy.
This sheet,
said the host as he handed her the piece of paper,
has the most crucial instructions they need. If they succeed the task within 30 minutes, then you will be awarded 25,000 coins. Time starts now.
As the host left the car, Daisy grabbed the sheet of paper and read it carefully. At that same moment, the small television in the limo one was turned on, and the four of them looked at the screen in interest and saw Daisy, scrutinizing a piece of paper carefully.
It's Daisy,
Peach said.
What is she doing?
Daisy's paper had the following. Mission: transfer the boiled egg from Limo 1 to Limo 2. Rules: exiting the vehicle in any way is not allowed. The egg is located in Limo 1 must be transferred within 30 minutes into the possession of the people in Limo 2. They are not aware of the task, and you must try your best to explain it to Limo 1. Advantages: you can use body language to Limo 1, where they can see you via television. Mouthing words is prohibited. You can see them and hear them back as well from your laptop. Limo 1 can speak with Limo 2 via walkie-talkie. To succeed, you must be able to notify Limo 1 about the task being of the transferring of the egg, who will then tell Limo 2 by walkie-talkie. 2 holes must be made in the windows for a possible transfer. The drawing compass of Limo 1 can pierce into the back window and draw a perfect circle to create a hole. The plasma gun device in Limo 2 can make a hole in the windshield of Limo 2. The combination to get the gun in the box is 13224. The box is in the driver's seat, and they must break the window between the driver and the passengers to be able to reach the front window. Then, stick the vacuum hose out of the hole in Limo 1, with the egg placed inside it. Press the red button, and instead of suction, the air will be drawn out at full speed. Aiming must be accurate, as the egg will shoot from the hole in the window of Limo 1 to the windshield hole in Limo 2, thus a successful transfer. Egg in Limo 1, among the wine glasses. Walkie-talkie in Limo 1, located under seat. Drawing compass in Limo 1, compartment in the floor. Vacuum cleaner in Limo 1, compartment in the floor. Walkie-talkie in Limo 2, Luigi's back pocket. Plasma gun in Limo 2, driver's seat, in a combination box. Daisy looked at the laptop screen and waved at them. They waved back happily, puzzled, as Daisy thought of what to do next. This will be challenging, she thought. Peach, Birdo, Toadette, and Blooper looked up at the TV and saw Daisy, tilting her head up with her cup-shaped hand over her mouth.
Is she trying to tell us something?
Birdo said.
She's trying to pretend she's drinking.
Daisy kept on continuing her move.
Drink. Do we have to find a drink?
Toadette said to the TV. Daisy nodded.
The wine glasses.
Blooper said suddenly. Daisy nodded fully, her head fully going up and down as she smiled. Birdo and he grabbed the wine glasses hanging on the side of the limousine and removed them one by one. Under the third wine glass was an object that Birdo had spotted, and she held it up.
An egg?
She asked. Daisy pointed forwards on her screen, and made a circle with the fingers.
Is this what we're looking for?
Asked Toadette. Daisy nodded, and then thought quickly. She put her hands in front of her as if she was gripping a steering wheel, and she pretended to drive.
You want us to drive away?
Asked Peach.
How?
Daisy shook her head, and put up 2 fingers in the air. She then pointed to somewhere off the screen.
The second limousine is what she is trying to say,
said Blooper. Again, Daisy nodded fully. She then pointed below to the ground repeatedly.
The floor,
said Peach. In the middle of the limo carpeting was a small indent that resembled a hidden compartment, and Peach went over to it and opened it quickly. 2 items appeared, a vacuum cleaner and a drawing compass.
Yes, more success,
said Peach optimistically.
But now what?
Daisy kept on pointing to the floor, and then stood up and pointed down under her. After a few seconds, Blooper suddenly understood.
Under the seat, right?
He said out loud. Daisy nodded and smiled, as Blooper hurriedly went to search the cushions under them. As Toadette went to observe the found items with Peach, Birdo searched along under the seats to look for any other things that could help them in any way.
I'm really confused,
said Toadette.
Is this a challenge? What's the goal and stuff? From what I know,
Blooper told the other 3,
Daisy is trying to tell us to do something with the other limo, and I'm guessing it's also relating to her Volkswagen as well. It's like a triangle. Oh, and you're so sure?
Birdo told him.
What else could it be?
Said Blooper, and then felt a small item within the cotton of the seats. It was a walkie-talkie. Daisy saw Blooper holding the walkie-talkie from her laptop and started to nod excitedly, as Blooper and the others looked at her for further instructions. She pretended to put a phone up to her ear, and Blooper followed the same action and held down the button of the walkie-talkie. Lucky 2, Dupless, and Luigi were clueless in their trapped limousine, not having the faintest idea of what was going on. All was quiet until Luigi jumped at the sudden beeping sound coming from his pants pocket. As he stood up, Dupless picked it out from his pants and answered it.
Hello? Who is this? Is this Dupless?
Asked a voice, loud enough from the walkie-talkie that all 3 could hear the other person.
Yeah, we're stuck in the limo and the driver has gone,
Dupless explained.
And this is the other limousine rider Blooper, isn't it? You're correct. Now, I think we're in a challenge, because our car has stopped / Oh. We're stopped too. And on our television screen, we see Daisy trying to signal us to do actions, but it has no sound,
explained Blooper.
What do you see on your television? We have none. Okay,
said Blooper, and faced towards Daisy on the screen. She was doing the driving motion with her hands.
The steering wheel?
Birdo asked. Daisy half nodded, and held up 2 fingers.
2 steering wheels,
said Birdo quickly.
Oh. The steering wheel in the other limousine.
Daisy nodded and did a thumbs-up signal.
Go to the steering wheel,
Blooper said into the walkie-talkie.
There's a glass that separates the driver area from us,
Dupless said back. Blooper looked at Daisy on the screen and saw her do a punching movement.
You have to break it,
Blooper realized.
Get into the driver's seat as quick as you could. Let me do this,
said Lucky 2.
Step back.
As the other 2 sunk away into the seats with caution, Lucky 2 faced backwards and slammed as hard as he could into the glass. The glass shattered with a single strike, and Luigi and Dupless did a golfer's clap.
Let's all go,
said Dupless, as he and Lucky 2 slid their way through the cracked window and into the driver and passenger seats of the limousine. The windshield was shaded pitch black, much to the wondering of how it was even possible for the ARandomAudiobook driver to previously drive.
Hey, Luigi,
said Lucky 2, looking at the plumber sitting down on one of the comfy chairs.
Mind if you join us? You guys can do it on your own,
Luigi replied.
I feel kind of sick, so just solve it without me.
Lucky 2 gave him a strange face before he faced back.
A box.
noticed Dupless, spotting a metal container placed on the driver's seat. Back in Limo 1, Peach and Toadette were examining the two items they had found under the floor, the compass and the vacuum. Although they were sure the items had important jobs for the challenge, they had no idea what to do until Toadette accidentally punctured the cushioned seat with the drawing compass needle.
Daisy, what is this needed for?
Toadette said to the screen. Daisy put her finger forwards onto her other hand, and then made a circular motion.
Make a circle.
Toadette said, puzzled. Daisy nodded.
Blooper, we see a box with a combination on it,
Dupless called to the phone.
Try asking Daisy what the combination is.
Blooper faced the screen at Daisy.
Daisy, the other limo has a combination for a box, and do you know what it is?
She looked down at the piece of paper besides her, and looked back with one finger on her hand.
1,
Blooper said into the walkie-talkie. Dupless changed the number on his case as Daisy held up 3 fingers afterwards.
3,
Blooper continued. Daisy held up 2.
2.
After that, Daisy put up 4 fingers, then withdrew, and held up another 4.
That's 1, 3, 2, 4, 4,
Blooper said.
You got that, Dupless? Yup.
He replied. He then went to open it by the handle, but it didn't budge.
Not opening,
Dupless said.
Something's wrong.
The host was standing on the side of the street, not far from all the commotion. He looked down at his watch and saw that 15 minutes had passed by. 15 minutes remaining. It was a frustrating time of 3 minutes as Dupless tried to open the case. The others, Birdo, Peach, and Toadette, were occupying Daisy with questions with little success. Blooper sighed heavily, and then decided to ask Daisy about the egg in her hand.
Daisy,
asked Blooper,
what does this egg have to do with this?
Daisy made a circle with her right hand, and held up 2 fingers in the other. She then moved the circle towards her 2 fingers.
The circle is the egg?
Birdo said slowly. Daisy nodded, and repeated the gesture with a broader travel of the egg going to her 2 fingers.
2 fingers mean limousine too,
Blooper said. Daisy nodded, and Blooper's face suddenly lit up.
Oh. I get it. We have to throw this egg to the other limousine.
Blooper said in realization. Daisy started to nod crazily, and she smiled and put up 2 thumbs as she realized that they had finally understood their task.
Wait, is that the mission, or is there more to it?
Daisy shook her head.
That's not the mission?
Asked Blooper. Daisy shook her head even more, and repeated the circle fingers gesture.
That's our only task,
repeated Blooper. Daisy nodded and smiled, as they understood even more. She did the hand movement she had shown to Toadette while discussing about the drawing compass, and Toadette picked it up from the ground. Then, Daisy drew a square in the air.
The vacuum,
Peach said, holding up the rectangular-shaped object. Daisy shook her head, and made the square motion again. She pointed at them.
Square with us?
Asked Toadette. Daisy shook her head again, and then made a circle motion with her fingers.
Shapes? Circles?
Daisy smacked her head in desperation. She then drew the circle in the air again, and Blooper understood immediately. He grabbed the drawing compass and put it directly against the small area of the back window, sticking the needle directly into the glass. Daisy was nodding again and again, as the others watched Blooper.
Wait, how do you do this?
Blooper wondered, jabbing the needle into the glass numerous times. Daisy drew a circle with her fingers.
"Let me do it,"
offered Birdo, but Blooper refused as he tried to poke holes into the back window repeatedly. Daisy was confused at Blooper's actions.
"We have to get away to get to the others,"
he explained. Again and again, he attempted to break the glass by jabbing holes in it. Blooper looked so clueless as he attempted to create a hole in the back window. Not only was he doing it wrong, but he ignored our offerings and kept on doing it himself. He must have wasted an entire minute before he gave up, so I took the compass into my own hands. Toadette jabbed the needle into the back window, and with the other needle, she traced a circle. The circular piece of glass was removed instantly, and a hole in the window exposed them to the outside air.
"Wow, I'm so stupid,"
Blooper admitted.
"You've never used a drawing compass before?"
Toadette questioned.
"Well, I know how to use it," he said, "but I never thought of tracing a circle to make the hole."
He and the others could see through the open hole, and saw the front of the limousine behind them.
"Halfway there,"
said Peach excitedly.
"I'm wondering, is our time limited?" "No idea,"
said Birdo.
"But now the others have to make a hole in their window."
Birdo looked at the television.
"We have the hole in the window,"
she told Daisy. Daisy looked pleased at their success, and the walkie-talkie rang again.
"We cannot open the case,"
a desperate Dupliss shouted.
"It's not working."
Blooper looked troubled.
"Daisy, tell me the combination again," he said.
Daisy held up one finger, then 3, then 2 twice, and lastly she held up 4 fingers.
13224,
Blooper repeated. There was silence.
"That's a different combination than the one you first told me,"
Dupliss noticed.
"Wait. I got it. The case is open."
Blooper looked relieved, and then looked at Daisy. She seemed clueless of the fact that she had cost them time with her initial incorrect combination.
"It is a strange gun-like object,"
explained Lucky 2. "Ask Daisy if she has any idea of what this is." Daisy, who could hear the words coming out of the walkie-talkie, made a gun symbol with her hand and pretended to shoot.
I think you have to shoot the windshield,"
said Blooper. Daisy nodded, and did the shooting signal again.
"Is there a heavy recoil or anything?"
a nervous Dupliss asked.
"Let me do it,"
said Lucky 2, grabbing the plasma gun from him. He aimed at the front window with little hesitation and pulled the trigger. The rays struck the windshield, leaving a circle mark on the window that was the color of lime green.
We shot the window,"
said Dupliss.
"The window has a green circle now." "Shoot it again,"
Blooper said. Lucky 2 aimed once again and pulled the trigger, and this time, the circle had fallen out. A hole was created in the front window, and as they both looked outside, they were able to see inside of the other limo through their compass-created hole.
"I see you,"
said Lucky 2.
"Go stick your hand out."
Blooper and the other looked through their hole to see the face of Lucky 2 in the other limo, waving his hand happily. 2 holes in 2 limos, all that was needed was a safe transfer. Daisy was clapping her hands in joy, and then gripped her 2 hands in front of her and moved it around.
"She's telling us to use the vacuum,"
Peach realized. If the players had looked a little to the right through their 12-inch holes, they could have spotted the host, looking patiently at his watch on the side of the street. Only 5 minutes were remaining to complete their task.
Turn on the switch on the vacuum,
Birdo said. Daisy nodded, and then made the circle shape with her fingers.
The egg,
said Toadette.
The egg has to go with the vacuum.
Daisy nodded, then raised her left arm in the air and waved it freely.
Wave? Do we have to wave something?
Toadette asked her. Daisy kept on repeating her wiggling motion, and got her right hand with the circle to combine into the wave. The four were confused, as time started to run out.
Oh, put the egg into the hose of the vacuum,
Blooper exclaimed. The others looked at him in surprise as he grabbed the egg and dropped it into the hose, then he looked at the screen to see a happy Daisy. Blooper had correctly identified the next step. The last motion Daisy had to show them was her index finger pushing down onto her other hand. She was mentioning to press the button, and Blooper had caught up with it.
You want us to shoot the egg from this vacuum by sticking it out of this hole,
Blooper concluded.
And you want us to aim it directly so that it goes directly into the hole of the other limousine windshield.
Daisy was thrilled at Blooper's statement, and answered it with excited nods.
We really need to be careful,
Toadette told him.
We have to make sure that the egg is safely transferred. I'll give them a heads up,
Blooper said, and then spoke into his walkie-talkie.
Dupless. Lucky 2.
Dupless immediately answered back.
Yeah,
he said.
We will shoot an egg with a vacuum into the hole in your windshield, and make sure it makes it safely,
Blooper told him.
Hey,
said Lucky 2.
Are you sure that's what we have to do? I'm sure,
Blooper replied. Birdo grabbed the end of the hose and stuck it snugly so it's situated out of the hole in the window, and Lucky 2 and Dupless saw the hose sticking out of the other limousine, a good 10 feet away from them. Will it actually make it?
Where the egg?
Lucky 2 asked.
It's in the hose,
said Blooper.
Okay, you see where it's going to aim? I do,
said Dupless.
A little more down. No, I think it's perfect,
said back Blooper/.
I think you should aim the hose a little bit down,
said Peach in agreement with Dupless. Toadette and Birdo agreed too, making it seem that Blooper was the only one who currently favored its aiming position.
It'll be forced down on its way in the air,
Blooper argued.
It's perfect. Come on, just a bit more down,
Lucky 2 spoke. Birdo grabbed the hose of the vacuum instead and aimed it further down, much to Blooper's disappointment. Dupless looked at the hose's alliance with their hole and nodded.
Looks very good,
he said in hope.
Looks nearly perfect. We're going to do it,
Toadette said to Daisy on the screen. She replied with her crossed fingers.
Oh please, don't let the egg miss,
Lucky 2 prayed.
Please let us win this.
He and Dupless watched tensely as they waited for the egg to sail in the air.
Activate drawer button, the red one,
Blooper commanded. As Birdo was holding the hose perfectly in place, Toadette went over to press the button.
Let this transfer safely,
Peach said anxiously.
Is everything set?
Asked Toadette.
All set,
Birdo replied. Crossing the fingers on her own left hand, Toadette pressed the red button. The air started to whir in the machine as she stepped back, and the hose started to rumble slightly as Birdo held her place with the hose as firmly as possible. This was it. Dupless and Lucky 2 saw the egg exit from the tip of the tube as the air gushed out, and saw the flying egg sail like they had expected. Closer and closer it flew towards them until it struck the open circle of their windshield, the boiled egg landing onto Dupless' sheet. He shouted victoriously, and so did Lucky too as he picked up the egg into his own hands. A successful transfer.
"We did it! We did it!"
were the words that were emitted from the walkie-talkie, as the four of them were ecstatic. Daisy started to laugh with joy as she seemed to exit from her own vehicle.
"Oh yeah, baby!"
Birdo said.
"Challenge success!"
The doors of the limousine clicked, and Toadette turned around to the handle to see that the doors had been unlocked. One by one they exited, and so did the other three in the limousine behind them. The sunlight was something the contestants were happy to see, and they were also happy to see the host, standing beside Daisy.
"So, I see that Lucky too has the egg in his hand,"
the host realized. Everyone clapped and cheered as Lucky too proudly displayed it.
"This challenge had required a great deal of teamwork, and I am impressed that your transfer was a success."
The 8 of them looked at each other happily.
"But there was a time limit,"
said the host. Everyone's hopes suddenly sank at his words. Time limit? Since when?
"There was a maximum time of 30 minutes,
the host told them.
"And at the time when the egg had entered limousine 2.
The deafening silence and suspense was almost unbearable for the players, as they waited for the answer.
"You still had exactly 1 minute and 24 seconds remaining. You have won."
The 8 players clapped victoriously, knowing that they had won the challenge and the money.
"Daisy, would you like to tell them how much this egg challenge was worth?"
McBallyhoo offered Daisy.
"It's 25,000 coins to our team pot,"
she said smiling, as they all clapped again at their huge money addition. Team pot. 30,000C.
"Wow, I'd be already happy to go home with just that much so far,"
Lucky too commented. The others laughed, thinking along the same lines too.
"So I guess the mole had his or her troubles during this challenge,"
the host said.
"But did the mole really keep it that much of a secret? As I watched all 8 of you through different cameras, I did notice that Luigi had not been helping at all during the 30 minutes. I was tired,"
Luigi said.
"I assumed the others would have succeeded without me, and they did." "What about Daisy?"
the host questioned.
"Times of struggles occurred when she displayed the wrong combination to the others." "I did,"
said a surprised Daisy.
"Yes, you told me the wrong numbers on the first time around,"
Blooper told her.
"Oh,"
was all Daisy could say.
"Could it have been the confident Blooper?"
said the host.
Solving the steps of the challenge seemed to be a breeze for him. Keep in mind the moment where he fought his way to keep the previous aiming of the hose. If the others hadn't have disagreed and aimed it differently, the egg surely would have missed the hole.
Blooper looked around at the others.
"These things are the small stuff to consider,"
the host told them.
"But for now, who wants to go back into the limousine and continue to Noki Village?"
The group replied in agreement, and on their way to their next destination their thoughts were traveling with possibilities. Well, a success for a team, and the mole's attempts had failed. What will await the group at Noki Village? Stay tuned for more. End of chapter.